Dim the lights, lock the doors, and settle in. Tonight's explainer is a little different. We're skipping the dry historical facts and diving headfirst into a chilling bedtime story meant strictly for adults. We're unpacking the dark, completely fascinating literary allegory hidden within Harvest of the Ink-Stained Shroud and the Harvest of the Obsidian Ink. So consider this our stage of ash. I'm going to walk you through the midnight work of a truly terrifying entity known as the Obsidian Doctor. It's going to get dark, so stay close.
Imagine standing in a village square, and the air is just thick, heavy with iron. There's a lone jester dancing, right? But his bells are entirely muffled. And while the Obsidian Doctor is looming in the background like this massive pillar of midnight, the real horror is actually happening right there on the cobblestones. The jester gestures to the ground and introduces his very own shadow as the Doctor's brand new assistant. Just picture the sheer terror of that, a shadow detaching from its master, rising up into a faceless, liquid silhouette. And it's all kicked off by an ominous celestial cue. When the great bear loses its eye, the harvest of the heart begins.
Now, what's absolutely wild about this allegory is how it completely flips our understanding of what a shadow even is. Normally we just think of it as an absence of light, right? Basic physics. But here, a shadow is defined as the primary ink of reality. It's this heavy, suffocating shroud that you wear while you're still breathing. It literally contains the concentrated weight of a lifetime's worth of secrets, unspoken sins, and those memories you've tried to bury. It's the darkness you've spent your entire life trying to outrun, and it is physically tethered right to your heels.
And the way they take it from you, it's a clinical clockwork nightmare. First, that faceless silhouette rises up with this liquid, predatory grace. Then it reaches out and literally peels the shadow right off your feet. The text describes it like skinning a fruit. Think about how visceral that is. And finally, your history, your very essence, just dissolves straight into the assistant's inkwell. It's a beautifully dark, deeply unsettling metaphor for having your most intimate secrets violently ripped away from you.
So what actually happens to you once that process is done? Well, as your shadow is harvested, you feel this terrible, sudden lightness. You become a translucent ghost, shivering in a light that you can literally no longer block. Think about the allegorical weight of that. Without your dark reflection, without your history, your regrets, your secrets, you're no longer tethered to reality. You're just left floating, completely weightless, wandering in the Doctor's wake while he drains the entire village's collective memory into a single black pool.
And you might be wondering, where do all those peeled shadows actually end up? They aren't just destroyed, they're repurposed. They get folded like silk directly into the Obsidian Doctor's vestments. His robes become this shifting tapestry made entirely of lost lives. The secrets of the greedy, the regrets of the cruel, the silent prayers of the desperate, they all become the very threads of the Doctor's power. He is literally walking around wearing the collective, unspoken sins of humanity.
But how does this clockwork nightmare know exactly when and where to strike? Well, they don't use earthly maps. The jester uses a rusted starfinder that actually tracks celestial rot. Over eons, they watch ancient stars blink out like guttering candles. Over millennia, entire constellations decay, until we hit the final hour, the exact moment the Great Bear loses its eye. They are literally tracking the end of days by watching the sky die, just to mark the exact second your soul is perfectly ripe for ink stripping.
Which brings us to his ultimate purpose. The entire reason for this harvest is the final surgery, striking the ledger.
1,000. That is the magic, terrifying number here. The Doctor requires this specific obsidian ink, which remember is made from your unspoken sins, to strike names from an apocalyptic ledger of 1,000 cities. Your essence is being used as the literal ink to rewrite the world's end. It's a staggering scale of destruction, and it's fueled 100% by the heavy weight of human secrecy. But here's the catch. The strict, unshakable rule of this dark universe. The Obsidian Doctor absolutely cannot perform his final surgery on a soul that's still attached to its shadow. Stripping you of your shadow is a hard prerequisite. He can't rewrite the apocalypse on a soul that still casts a reflection. You have to be made completely blank, translucent, and stripped of your history before he can deal that final blow. And the allegory goes even deeper into biological horror here, because it's actually a two-pronged attack. On one side, you have the external harvest, shadows physically peeled away, leaving victims as historyless ghosts. But simultaneously, there is an internal plague at work. The text describes this plague as swellings, like overripe fruit on the neck, heavy with the secrets of the grave. So while the assistant's shadow takes your external reflection, this pestilence is silently sowing itself deep within your very body.
This is the ultimate, inescapable trap. Those harvested secrets, they act as the metaphorical soil for this silent sowing. This internal pestilence guarantees that absolutely no human secret remains hidden. Whether it's stripped from the outside or swelling up on the inside, your sins are going to be exposed. Why? Because an entity known as the Sovereign of the Void is preparing to begin his measurements, and he requires a perfectly accurate, utterly exposed account of everything you have ever tried to hide.
So what are we left with in the chilling aftermath of this bedside tale? The jester finally closes his starfinder, his shadow returns to his feet, absolutely bloated and heavy with the ink of 1,000 lives. And as the stars above continue to fall one by one, the doctor turns toward the horizon, trailing this massive wake of stolen secrets across the earth. What they leave behind is tragic. It's a bright, hollow, and utterly silent world, just a completely blank page waiting for the doctor's next stroke.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you shivering in the light with one final thought. What are we without our shadows and secrets? If you were stripped of every single regret, every hidden thought, every sin you've spent a lifetime trying to outrun, what would actually be left of you? Would you be free? Or would you just be a translucent ghost waiting on a blank page? It's a terrifying, brilliant literary question. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive into the Obsidian Ink. Keep your eyes open, and as always, keep seeking the stories hidden within the shadows.